Try something, think of last Tuesday, not what you did, what it felt like. The temperature of the air on your skin, the first thing you saw when you opened your eyes. The exact words someone said to you over lunch, gone, all of it, and it's not just Tuesday. It's most of your Tuesdays, most of your Wednesdays, your Thursdays, your birthdays, your ordinary afternoons. If you live to 80, you will have lived roughly 29,000 days. And the number you can actually retrieve, vividly, specifically, with any real detail, maybe a few hundred, maybe less. The rest didn't vanish because they didn't matter. They vanished because your brain was designed to destroy them. And it has been doing this to you since the moment you were born. So here is the question this video will answer. If you can't remember most of your life, did you actually live it? There is a woman who can remember every single day she has ever lived, every Tuesday, every temperature. Every word anyone said to her, she begged scientists to make it stop. We'll get to her. But first, let's talk about the machine that is eating your past right now. In 1885, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus sat alone in his apartment and memorized lists of nonsense syllables. WID. ZOF, KEL. Then he tested himself after 20 minutes, after an hour, after a day, after a month. What he found is now called the forgetting curve, and it is steeper than you think. Within 20 minutes of learning something, you have already lost 42% of it. Within 1 hour, 56%. By tomorrow, 2/3. And within a month, nearly 80% is gone. This is not you being lazy or inattentive. This is the architecture of your brain working exactly as designed. Your neurons fire, form a connection, and then, unless that connection is reactivated, they quietly dissolve it. Like writing on water, but Ebbinghaus was measuring meaningless syllables. What about meaningful things, your life, your experiences, the people you loved? Surely those stick. And they do. Some of them for a while, but here's where it gets stranger. If you're over 40, try this. List every memory you can summon from your entire life. Psychologists have done this experiment thousands of times. And the result is always the same shape. A curve with a giant hump between the ages of 15 and 25. They call it the reminiscence bump. Roughly 60% of all the memories older adults can access cluster in that single decade. 10 years out of 80, everything before it fog, everything after increasingly thin. Your 20s were not objectively more important than your 30s or 40s. Your brain simply decided to keep those years and quietly let the rest go. And even those memories, the ones you think you kept, they're not what you think they are. In 2000, a neuroscientist named Karim Nader trained rats to fear a sound by pairing it with a shock. Standard conditioning. Then he waited a day, replayed the sound to reactivate the memory, and injected a protein synthesis blocker into their amygdala. The result, the rats forgot the fear entirely. Not because the memory was never formed, but because the act of recalling it had temporarily dissolved it, and without new proteins to rebuild it, it was gone. Nader had proven something that sounded impossible. Every time you remember something, you take it apart. Your brain disassembles the memory, then reconstructs it from whatever pieces remain, plus whatever your current mood, beliefs, and context add in. You never recall a memory, you rebuild it, and every rebuild drifts a little further from the original. Elizabeth Loftus at UC Irvine took this further. In her famous Lost in the Mall experiment, she told adults a fabricated story, that they had been lost in a shopping mall as children. She gave them a few details and asked them to try to remember. 35% of participants developed vivid memories of an event that never happened. They could describe what the mall looked like, who found them, how scared they felt. Their brains filled in what was missing and presented it as truth, indistinguishable from real memories even to the people experiencing them. Your memories are not recordings. They are stories your brain tells you, revised every time you replay them, contaminated by everything you have learned since. Now let's talk about those first years. You had them. You lived through thousands of days as a baby, a toddler, a small child. And you remember almost none of it. This is childhood amnesia. The average person's earliest memory dates to around age 3.5. Everything before that, every face you looked at, every sound that terrified you, every moment of wonder, has been overwritten so completely it might as well have happened to someone else. Not because you didn't form memories then, you did. Young children can remember events from age 2. But between ages 7 and 9, a massive neural renovation wipes most of it out. The brain prunes roughly half of its synaptic connections during development, and your earliest experiences go with them. So your childhood is gone. Your 20s are a highlight reel. Your 30s and 40s are compressing into a blur. And even the memories you do retain are partly fictional, which brings us back to her. Her name is Jill Price. In the year 2000, at age 34, she wrote to neuroscientist James McGaugh at the University of California, Irvine. She wasn't bragging, she was begging for help. "I run my entire life through my head every day," she wrote, "and it drives me crazy." Jill Price can remember every day of her life from February 5, 1980, a Tuesday, onward. Ask her what happened on any random date in the last 46 years. She can tell you the day of the week, what she did, what was on television, what the weather was like. Her condition, now called highly superior autobiographical memory, has been confirmed in only about 60 people worldwide. And for most of them, it is not a superpower, it is a prison. Because Jill Price doesn't just remember the good days, she remembers every embarrassment, every rejection, every cruel word, every regret. She cannot stop replaying them. Her brain has been described as resembling that of someone with obsessive-compulsive disorder, an enlarged caudate nucleus trapping her in loops of involuntary recall. The past that you and I are designed to leave behind. She carries all of it, all the time, and she cannot put it down. Scientists found something chilling when they studied HSAM brains. The same region for sane used carbon-14 to date, the cortex. Those neurons are as old as you are. Your memory hardware is permanent. But the connections between those neurons, the synapses that encode specific memories, are supposed to dissolve. That dissolution is not damage, it is the system working. Forgetting is not a flaw in the design. Forgetting is the design, and here is the part that should make you stop. Daniel Kahneman, the psychologist who won the Nobel Prize in economics, spent years studying what he called the experiencing self versus the remembering self. The experiencing self is the one that lives through each moment. The remembering self is the one that keeps score. And Kahneman discovered that these two selves play by completely different rules. The remembering self doesn't care how long something lasted, a 2-week vacation. It gets compressed into maybe 5 or 6 peak moments and the final feeling. He called this duration neglect. Your remembering self throws away duration entirely. This means something terrifying. You could live the happiest year of your life, 365 days of steady, quiet contentment, and your remembering self might compress it into almost nothing. Because there was no peak, no dramatic ending. Just a long, even plateau of well-being that registers, in retrospect, as a blur. Meanwhile, a single terrible afternoon with a vivid peak and a sharp ending gets burned into permanent storage. Your remembering self is not loyal to you, it is loyal to drama. So let me ask the question again, the one from the beginning. If you cannot remember most of your life, did you actually live it? Here is what I think the science is telling us, and it's stranger than either answer. You lived it twice. Once in the moment, felt, breathed, inhabited by a self that leaves no records. And once in the retelling, compressed, edited, fictionalized, by a self that confuses intensity for importance. Neither version is the complete truth, and the gap between them is where most of your 29,000 days disappear. You are not losing your life to a broken machine. You are losing it to a machine that decided, long before you were born, that most moments are not worth the cost of keeping. And the handful it does keep, it rewrites every time you look at them. Right now, as you finish watching this, your brain is already deciding what to keep. This moment, these words, will either pass through you like water, or catch on some hook of emotion and stay. In a month, you'll have forgotten 79% of what was said here. In a year, maybe all of it. Unless it changed something. Unless it made you look differently at the 29,000 days you have left. Because the ones you've already spent, most of them are gone, and they were always going to be.